This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
These are the works of his mighty hands. In one voice, let's glorify our God. Faithful promises he made to the Church of Christ. The holy nation of God was never forsaken. Faithful promises fulfilled for the Church of Christ.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Phone a Friend on Tour, brought to you by INCRadio Oregon. I'm Sadie Pizarro, and I will be one of your hosts for today's episode. And I'd just like to give my personal greetings to my family, Mar and Melinda, brother Jeremy, and his wife, sister Nikki, all the way in the District of Virginia, North Carolinas, and to the local congregation of Hillsboro and group worship service of St. Helens, as well as to all of my friends and family in the Philippines, brother Chris Basa and his wife, sister Melody Jane, and brother Nathaniel Formos. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat at mag-ingat kayo palagi. So in our episode today, we will be covering Hillsboro and St. Helens, the expansion of the Westside and beyond. So what you can expect from our episode today is the story of the local congregation of Hillsboro and the group worship service of St. Helens, featured segments all about our two cities, as well as upcoming activities in the district. And make sure that you continue to interact with us in our live chats because we love sharing all of your thoughts and answers with everyone here live. And so, without further ado, let me also introduce my co host for today, Jillian. So, hello, Jillian.
Hello, Sadie, and hello to all our viewers today on Saturday for our episode. In our previous episode, we learned about the local congregation of Beaverton. Today, we're going to be learning about its established local congregation of Hillsboro and the group worship service of St. Helens, just like Sadie was explaining to us. You know, Hillsboro encompasses many brethren who live deep in the heart of the Silicon Forest, west of the Willamette River in the Tualatin Valley near Beaverton. The group worship service of St. Helens comprises brethren who live along the Columbia River. Before we go ahead and introduce who else is joining with us today, I'd like to go ahead and send my greetings to my parents, Brother June and Sister Annalisa Pimentel, my nunay, Sister Letitia Nelson, and as well as to our resident minister of Group Worship Service of Roseburg, Brother Albertson Macalintal, and to his family. So, Sadie, who else is joining us over there in the studio today?
Thank you so much, Jillian. And yes, we do have a guest with us here today in our studio. She's from the group worship service of St. Helens, here to talk about a little bit of the history and backstory about her group worship service. So, without further ado, let me introduce our guest for today, Jinky. So, hello, Jinky.
Hi, Sister Sadie, and thank you for having me here today. My name is Sister Jinky McCullough, and I'm from the Group Worship Service of St. Helens, Oregon. I'm very excited to be here.
Awesome.
And I would like to send a greeting to all the brethren of St. Helens, of course. Say hello to our resident minister, Brother DJ, hi, and to his family, and of course my family, my mom and my dad, who is currently in Dubai right now with my brother, my mom Virgie and Edison, and to my brother Edgy and his wife Rose, hello, and to my cutie pamunkins over there, hello, and of course my family in the Philippines who is tuned in today with us. Hello, everyone, and yeah, that's it. Happy to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for being with us today, Jinky. And we're very excited to hear all about the group worship service of St. Helens because I'm pretty sure many of our viewers and even some of the brethren here in our district don't really know much about the area of St. Helens, Oregon, or even that we have a group worship service there. So let's get started. So how did the group worship service of St. Helens get started?
Well, the group worship service of St. Helens started as part of an expansion of Hillsboro. So, through the years, I was the first one that lives in St. Helens who travels. And through the years, we started having more brethren moved into the Columbia County area. And because we're the amount of members in Hillsboro is expanding, then we decided to start up a group worship service in St. Helens.
Yeah, I remember when I moved to Hillsboro, and then I remember seeing you attending worship services with us, like there in when we used to worship in the Grange. And then I know for sometimes like we have to go all the way to St. Helens because we would have Bible study or evangelical mission there. So tell us a little bit about the travel. Like, how was it having to travel from St. Helens to Hillsboro?
Well, driving to Hillsboro is definitely a scenic drive during summertime. It's beautiful. You go through this, passes through the beautiful trees through Cornelius Pass, but that is a windy road. So summertime, no problem. It's fun, beautiful view. But wintertime, that can be a challenge because of that windy road. The road gets too slippery. A lot of time it gets closed, and even without the icy road, you would see a lot of accident happening over there because of the cliff. But despite all of that, driving to Hillsboro would take you 45 to an hour. But during, like what I said, winter time and there's a snow and icy road, that could take you more than an hour because you have to take a different route, a much longer route. So definitely quite a challenge for anyone who's traveling from St. Helens.
Yeah, I can imagine because also when you're driving through like isn't it Cornelius
Yes.
Pass, sometimes there's not even like street lights, so not only is it a windy road, but it's also dark. And especially like what you mentioned, like during the winter time when the roads are icy, then it's even harder because it's hard to see. And then, but
It's
just
like
know,
it's a cliff and then drop, right? So that's kind
yes.
of like scary part of it is cliff and then drop. So you really have to be careful on driving at night, like what you said. You'll be like surprised there's a turn.
Definitely. But you can really see the dedication of all the brethren. Even though you live so far away in St. Helens, you're willing to drive those windy roads or when the roads are closed there, find another way just to attend and perform your duties for the worship service. So, with that being said, how did it feel when you found out that St. Helens would become its own group worship service?
So Sadie, when I came to the US was in 2007 when I arrived in Oregon, and I was first registered in Portland. And then, so from there, I was traveling already from hour. And then we heard that there is a worship service in Beaverton, which is few minutes closer, but every little short, drive will take it. And then from there, the whole time I was driving. So for 12 years before the shutdown happened, when we all just stay at our home, I was driving twice a week, sometimes more when there are other extra activities. So I was doing that. So when they said, even the first discussion that we're gonna open up a group worship service in St. Helens, I was like, yes, I think of all, I might be a little teary because that has been my prayer from the first time that I stepped foot in Oregon. And it's always been my prayer that I wish it's closer, especially when I first got here, I wasn't driving, totally different in the Philippines. You just walk to church. So when they said we're gonna have that, I was so happy. I cannot explain the joy that I have at that time.
Yeah, I think a lot of our brethren can relate to that, having the place of worship not only be in the area, but very close to you, especially after years of experiencing having to travel long distance, having to travel through so many obstacles just to attend worship service. The feeling that now you don't have to do that anymore and you can still remain active. Like, I think all of us can really like relate to that. We all feel that in our hearts.
Yes, and like what I said, but despite all of that, no matter how far it would be, me and my family are obviously we're gonna travel to be able to attend the worship service.
That's great. So I know that St. Helens Group Worship Service is going to turn, I think, 4 years old, your anniversary. So can you tell us some of the successes, some memorable moments of the group worship service?
We may be small in number, not really small, but we are big when it comes to propagation. We do have done an EVM, evangelical mission in our place, and I think we have invited 23 people at that one time. And then during that time too, we have right now currently we have one baptized from the time that we are established as a group worship service. Currently, we have two Bible students and two candidate for baptism. So we're very excited. We do some activities as well in the area.
Yeah, and I remember having a lot of Care for Humanity
Yes,
activities also in St. Helens. So you always see that the brethren over there, like what you said, you might be small in number, but you're always active, you're always ready to perform, and you're always ready to share your faith with, especially with all the people in that area.
definitely. Yes, you're right. I remember our uh, uh, Care for Humanity that we did the project over there. That brought a lot of people and participated. Actually, we gave out a lot of pasugo at that time also, and some had shared their interest.
Oh, that's great to hear, Sister Jinky. All of your stories, all of those things that you have to share with us about St. Helens. It's very heartfelt and it really is very inspiring for us all over that are listening right now. Right. So let's take it back to Jillian. Like, what do you think about the group worship service of St. Helens?
I think it's so great, Sadie and Jinky, to hear the beginnings of the group worship service of St. Helens, especially through your perspective, Jinky, because not only is that a blessing to you and your family and to all of the brethren there who are members of the St. Helens group worship service, but also to our district, because that shows that God is so good to our district and we're continuing to grow here through the group worship services that are being established. You mentioned that St. Helens is coming up on its fourth anniversary. And let's go ahead and hear what are those anniversaries of the Hillsboro local congregation and St. Helens. Hillsboro was established on April 12th, 2019, with its seventh anniversary coming up. And a few years after that, St. Helens is coming up on their fourth anniversary, and their group worship service was established on March 17th, 2022. So it's just so amazing to hear all of the history of these local congregations and group worship service. So thank you, Jinky, for sharing that with us. And we're going to go ahead and now see what the perspectives of the pioneering members of the local congregation of Hillsboro is like. So our Kuya Text is going to go ahead and help us in this portion of our broadcast today. So if you could please play Kuya Text our first Backstory Boulevard for Brother Gerald Yaneza.
Backstory Boulevard.
My name is Brother Gerald Yaneza. Currently, I'm the head deacon of the local congregation of Hillsboro. The local of Hillsboro was one of the local congregations that was established years ago from the local congregation of Beaverton. Having quite a few brethren who live in the city of Hillsboro was a big consideration po, and one of the reasons why our local congregation got established po. I remember a time when some of the brethren were talking about the possibility of having our own locale due to our growing number, and also how it would benefit the Hillsboro residents. And then there was this day that came that we were informed that we will have our own local congregation. So the brethren were so ecstatic when they first heard about it. They were so happy. They felt so blessed. It's such a huge blessing, not just to us, but to the entire District of Oregon. The early years of the locale of Hillsboro, I would say, were exciting, being a newly established local congregation po, and challenging at the same time. Challenging in the sense that one of those years was when the pandemic hit. It was a big test for not just for us, but to the entirety of the church. But God never abandoned us. He continued to fulfill His promise to us that whatever trials we will encounter, He will never abandon us. So, with God's help and mercy, we were still able to fulfill all our spiritual endeavors inside the church during the pandemic, and we were still able to be successful in all of the activities being launched inside the Church of Christ. Being one of the pioneering members of the locale of Hillsboro is so special to me, considering this is my very first time to be a part of a newly established local congregation. It gives me that excitement to see how this locale will grow and progress as the years go by. And myself, as one of those appointed by God through the church administration to take care of the local congregation, is really a huge blessing. To me, there's no specific moment that I consider the most memorable for us. It is whenever we're together as a local congregation conducting an activity approved by the church administration that everyone was so happy and excited to participate in, whether it's an indoor or outdoor activity. So those really create fun memories and memorable moments for everybody. And it really uplifts their spirit and edifies their faith to continue in their services to God. And I will also say that when it comes to the works of propagation, the locale of Hillsboro uh, was able to bear fruit every single year from the time of its establishment. Every single year we were able to bear fruits of converts through the help and mercy of our Almighty God.
I like it.
In behalf of the local congregation of Hillsboro, I would like to say thank you to the church administration being led by our dearest brother Eduardo V. Manalo for all that you do for the entirety of the church. Though you are very far away from us, po, we can truly feel how much love and concern you have for the entire church, po, and for the spiritual well-being of every member of the church. We promise, po, that we will always unite and participate in all the activities being launched inside the Church of Christ. And we will never fail in our duty to worship God to attain the promised salvation.
Wow, we can see that the local congregation of Hillsboro had such a great history as well. We were able to see that through the pictures that we were able to see with our interview with Brother Gerald Yaneza. And we have another pioneering member who was sharing his story and his perspective of the establishment of the local congregation of Hillsboro. So if our Queen Text can help us play our backstory boulevard, our Brother Nemuel Lim.
Backstory Boulevard.
My name is Brother Nemuel Lin. I'm the locale of Hillsboro. I'm the TSV lead, CWS teacher, and scan officer. In the early months as a new locale congregation, we encountered many challenges and learned through them that we can be united in the many endeavors of the church. We are grateful because many of the brethren have remained active and strong in their faith. I was happy because that meant growth in the church, but it also helped many of the brethren living deep in Hillsboro not to have to travel to so far for worship services. My most memorable moment is when my daughter got baptized in our locale. And another one was the growth of the many officers, especially the choir members in our locale.
So, being able to see the history of the local congregation of Hillsboro through the pioneering members, Brother Gerald and Brother Nemuel, is so great because we were able to see how those local congregations became established. We were able to see some pictures of Hillsboro, but could our Korea text please play some of the pictures of the group worship service of St. Helens as well? Because we want to see those brethren that are located in St. Helens, and we want to see some of their backgrounds in history as well. So, Kuya Tex, could you play some of those St. Helens pictures as we go ahead and try and see what those early days of St. Helens looked like? Sadie, since you have Jinky there in the studio with you, why don't we have her explain a little bit of what's going on in these pictures here?
Sure. So the first picture we can see is of the inaugural worship service. So, tell us a little bit about that, Sister Jinky.
That's definitely one of the memorable day of my life. Like I said earlier, you can see how many brethren were there. It We have our district minister, Brother Danilo Pasqua, and our assistant district minister was there as well. So it's just amazing to have that. Yeah.
Yeah, and even though that it's during the time of the pandemic, you can really see the turnout of all of the brethren that really want to be a part of the historical event, especially to be able to have a worship service that's not far away either.
Agree.
All right. So thank you, Jinky, for helping us explain some of these pictures. We love seeing the growth that St. Helens has as well. We were able to see some of the history of St. Helens in Hillsboro. So why don't we go ahead and see what kind of landmarks and sceneries and food that we can find in those cities as well. I'd like to go ahead and start off this segment of our broadcast by saying some fun facts that we've learned about Hillsboro. So did you know that Hillsboro is actually not known for having a lot of hills, because that's what I thought at first. After a little research, Hillsboro is named after its founder, David Hill, and it's also known as part of the Silicon Forest alongside Beaverton due to its close vicinity. And also, Hillsboro, did you know that it is nicknamed the Hub City? As for St. Helens, this was founded as Plymouth in 1850. And you may know some movies that are filmed here, but many movies have been filmed in St. Helens, Oregon, using its small town and historic ambiance and scenic setting. So, Kuya Tex, could you go ahead and play our next segment here, Landmark Lane?
Here is Orenco Woods, a 44-acre nature park that features a scenic blend of rolling landscape, open meadows, and forested areas for a variety of birds and wildlife. A network of loop trails weave their way throughout the site, providing visitors with a pleasant walk or stroll. Today, Orenco Woods Nature Park preserves one of the largest remaining open spaces along the Rock Creek Greenway corridor, with a segment of the Rock Creek Regional Trail running just through the park over a majestic bridge.
Hillsboro is also the home of Hillsboro Stadium, which is a multi-sport stadium in the northwestern part of Hillsboro, Oregon. It opened 27 years ago in 1999 and is an award-winning stadium. It hosts football games for Portland State University and the state playoff games for the Oregon School Activities Association's smaller school divisions. It is used for sports like baseball, softball, soccer, and lacrosse, and has hosted college and professional teams. The Brethren of Hillsboro also show us around Central Park, and as well as Helvetia Lavender Park. Located in the hills overlooking the Willamette Valley, Helvetia Lavender Farm demonstrates 60 different varieties in landscaping and cutting fields.
Just like being around the local congregation of Beaverton, being in the city of Hillsboro, we are surrounded by so much greenery, so many parks, farmlands, all of those kinds of things. But let's see, what are some of those beautiful scenic sites around the city of St. Helens, Oregon? So, Kuya Tex, can you please play our next segment, Picture Perfect Postcards?
Picture perfect postcards.
Let's explore St. Helens, Oregon. In the historic Courthouse Plaza Square stands the historic Columbia County Courthouse, which houses the historic Columbia County Museum. And just past the plaza is the Columbia River. Along the river, you will find the Columbia View Park as well as the riverfront and marina, where you can see its namesake, Mount St. Helens, in the distance. St. Helens, Oregon was historically driven by its timber and river trade. Now, it's known for its outdoor activities like boating and hiking, its riverfront, and its historic Old Town tourism.
Good job on digging.
Wow, seeing all of those sites from both Hillsboro and St. Helens, it really does, work up an appetite. So why don't we go all the way to our taste of the town and see what we can find in both Hillsboro and St. Helens. So Kuya Tex, please play our next segment, Taste of the Town.
Taste of the town.
Hello everyone, I'm currently at Mr. Bento Burger on Cornell in Hillsboro, Oregon. This is one of two, I think, locations in the Hillsboro area, and Mr. Bento Burger is actually only in Hillsboro. So it's kind of a special little restaurant, huh? Well, special franchise chain. I am currently here with my family, and we're still waiting on our food for a little bit. It's almost ready. I'm really excited because I ordered the yakisoba, my mom ordered the bento, and my nanay and my dad ordered the burger. I can't wait to eat. But this is actually a Japanese Hawaiian cuisine like restaurant. It incorporates obviously features of Japanese cuisine with the bento and how they prepare it, especially with a lot of the teriyaki dishes, along with Hawaiian style food. All I could see when I looked at the menu were the burgers. So, I mean, hey, if you're really that curious about the menu, come and give it a try. Okay? So I finally got my food, and here's my yakisoba. As you probably saw in the clip already. I'm so excited to eat it. I don't think I've tried yakisoba before, because although I know it's like a type of pancit, I never tried, the Japanese style pancit. Let's give this a try.
Thank you, Gigi and family, for taking us to our first Taste of the Town location. Next up, Brother Glenn Barnuevo takes us to the Hillsboro Downtown Station, which is conveniently located in the heart of downtown Hillsboro. It is a food station plaza and located at 320 Southeast Baseline Street, Hillsboro. This place is known for their values of community, authenticity, and culture. They lean into the authentic culture of diverse community and aiming to provide memorable and original food experiences. And lastly, Sister Mercedes takes us to our last stop in Hillsboro, the Bertucci's Chocolate Shop, which is a family-owned shop which serves espresso, sandwiches, and fine chocolates, as well as these wonderfully made pastries.
Wow, look at all of that food that we saw in the Taste of the Town segment. So let's ask our guest Jinky, what is her taste of the town, specifically in St. Helens?
My taste of the town is a place called Cozy Corner. This place says its name, Cozy, and they serve like a breakfast, traditional American breakfast. It's one of my favorite places to go.
I think everyone should really explore St. Helens because it's really untapped beauty. It's very scenic, very calm, and I think there's a lot to do over there, right?
Yes, there's a lot to do. There's a camping site. Many movies have been filmed over there, so we have movie sites over there as well, and cute places. The Bertucci is one of the great place to go to, and we have a new sweet place. It's called the Lightning Sweet, so you should check it out as well.
Perfect. Well, you heard it from Sister Jinky herself. We should all explore St. Helens, Oregon, as well as the city of Hillsboro. So, thank you so much for joining us, Jinky. And thank you, Jillian. And thank you all for joining us today in our episode of Phone a Friend on Tour. And we look forward to seeing you in our next episodes while we continue to cover other local congregations in our district. So let's go back to Jillian for those upcoming CFO activities.
All right, thank you, Sadie. So, Kuya Tex, could you start us off with playing our Oregon Bulletin bumper?
Oregon Bulletin.
So, for the upcoming activities in our district for February, we have the monthly meetups of the Christian family organizations in our district. First up, for the local congregation of Albany, they'll be having a Kadiwa socializing on February 8th, their book club bake off on February 1st, and the Binhi socializing on February 15th. And that is for the local congregation of Albany. And on the next local congregation of Beaverton, on February 7th, they'll be having their book load, CPR, and first aid training, as well as their Kadiwa team building activity. The next week, on February 14th, the Binhi will have their Grandparents and Seniors Appreciation Day. Next, the local congregation of Hillsboro's Binhi members will have a picture frame crafting on February 22nd. For the local congregation of Portland, the booklet members will have their financial literacy seminar on February 1st, and for the Binhi, their esports game bonding on February 15th. And for the local congregation of Vancouver, they will be having their socializing activities, the bookload on February 1st, the Binhi members on February 15th, and for the CWS, there will be on the February 22nd. Now, of course, we can't end our episode without having our birthday greetings as well. So let's go ahead and read some of those off. We would like to wish a happy birthday to Brother Albert Riliera from the local congregation of Portland, who celebrated yesterday, January 30th. Also, happy birthday to Brother Robert Blodgett, whose birthday is actually today, January 31, as well as Sister Chanel Esteban. Her birthday is on February 1st, and Sister Amelia Esteban on February 5th. And we would love to say happy birthday as well to Sister Aliyah Acuesta, the daughter of the resident minister there of Boise, Brother Paulo Acuesta, which is on February 2nd. Now, happy birthdays to all of you, brethren. We would also like to thank the following brethren for helping us make our broadcast possible. Thank you to Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, our executive minister, as well as Brother Angelo Iranio V. Manalo, our deputy executive minister. Thank you, Pope, for your constant guidance over us in our INC radio programs. Thank you to Brother Wally Taray, our INC radio station manager, as well as Brother Moises Cadusale, our district supervising minister, and Brother Gino Ramilo, our assistant district minister. Thank you both to Brother Manly Andaya, our executive producer, and we would love to thank everyone who helped us in creating our segments today. Brother Craig Castillo, Brother Glenn Barnuevo, Sister Gigi and Brother Nemuel and family, Brother Gerald and Sister Lovejoy Yaneza, Sister Mercedes Pizarro, and Sister Gladeline Garcia. Thank you to our behind-the-scenes crew today, Brother Jess Guillermo, Sister Flo Guillermo, Brother Michael Hudson, and as well as Brother John Davis Cano, our multimedia advisor. Back to you, Sadie, to close off our show for the day.
Thank you so much, Jillian. And again, thank you all for being with us in our episode today. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, INC Radio DZM 954. Remember to like this broadcast and share the program link with all of your friends and family. And make sure to join us next week in our episode all about Vancouver, the gateway to the Southwest Washington. So, for everyone, thanks for joining us on our virtual tours of Hillsboro and St. Helens, Oregon. Everyone, have a good day. Bye.
Bye.